one of our prior Thesaurus Thursdays, I think, was extraterrestrial, focusing on the blatant, in-your-face sort of
word magic.
Word magic of extraterrestrial, that, hey, they're actually telling you that it's just extra land.
Right.
You know, it's not this off-world planetoid that you can blast off in a rocket ship to get to over a long period of time if you just have enough money.
And fuel.
And fuel, yeah, gasoline, right? But it's actually another dimension. And there are being, and then, the other thing, dimensions is kind of loses a lot of people.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Dimension is the
other way I look at it is like, you just look at the diversity of life that's already here.
Sure. The
whales, the octopi, the crustaceans, the anemones, the coral reefs, the rainforests, the thousand. I mean, the scientists don't know shit.
Yeah.
And
they don't.
And I think about, like, okay, I'm gonna write a space movie, and I'm gonna be like exploring this other dimension. There's really nothing more fantastical than what's already here.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the, like a whale, a blue whale, or an elephant, or a hippopotamus. Those are monsters, like alien monsters. So I think there's just a lot to be said about what is, like I see Tucker Carlson and Fox News. They're talking about UFOs and aliens. After History Channel made it passe. The History Channel made it passe to talk about Giorgio Tsoukalos is a popular internet meme joke.
Right.
ETs. It's almost passe to talk about UFOs and aliens now.
Right.
But then it's like Tucker Carlson will be talking about, well, are UFOs real? And it's just like, just in the question, it's almost like a stage psyop of like definitionism and like trying to redefine when we have to at least establish what do you mean when you say alien? You say demons, I say EDs, ETs.
I'm just leaving to just parse a little bit. I'm just leaving it open between actual demons or spiritual creatures, and I'm leaving the door open, the fact that there could be these half-breeds that are out there. And I say that so they're
are they like the politicians?
They could well,
and the top of the Jesuit order.
Like I said, I don't want to. Dave Icke doesn't believe in the Bible. It's clear. He said he's Jesus. Hope he doesn't think that anymore. But the point is, there may be. I'm just throwing this out there. There may be an element of truth when he talks about shape-shifting reptilians. They're not from another galaxy, though.
Right, and they may not be so physical as to be comparable to a reptile, per se. And this is where dimensionalism all becomes sort of vague. Like, think about the relationship between a fish and an eagle, right? The fish has no purview of the existence of an eagle, but in one fell swoop, in an instant, the eagle takes it right out of its environment and eats it as food, right? So to what extent are us in our life, in our cosmology as humans, the fish, to higher order eagle, by analogy, beings? So, in other words, our three-dimensional sort of purview of reality, or even if you want to include metaphysical concepts like time and all this as fourth or whatever dimensions, even going into quantum mechanics, these are still like, imagine that as like the water of our consciousness.
That reminds me of two things. The first one is like in the Matrix, where they literally like step in a telephone booth and call into their lower self, essentially, you know, from their out of Matrix like being. And I think, there's that sort of dynamic going on as well. The second thing, I actually lost my train of thought. Yeah, totally lost my train of thought on.
If I could just chime in real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think one aspect, they're trying to animate this evil spirit into this three-dimensional world, and there's tons of evidence of it. Just the rituals, the symbology. I think like the whatever the demons in charge. They interbreed with themselves because they're trying to control their blood. And I think a lot of this whole pharmakia, which is trying to control our blood, is a ways for them to magically, incarnate this spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think it's, it's multifaceted. I think I do believe there are extra dimensional entities, and there's demon spirits that want to live in this three-dimensional world, this physical world. I think God is protecting us, most of us, from not having sight of demons. A lot of our human species don't have that protection, mostly like schizophrenics. They're talking with demons and being possessed, and they don't have that luxury. So I've witnessed UFO. I've had UFO experiences. They have total cloaking ability, incredible cloaking ability, to where it can change into appear as an airplane. So they have the only thing that comes to mind is the cloaking technology from like Star Trek, but much more sophisticated, or Predator.
Well, that reminds me, Eric, of the second point I had lost my train of thought about, but that reminds me of the basically the human element of the UFO ET subject, and that has a lot to do with like military abductions or mutilations, which have taken place, and I'm getting an echo a bit from, I think, your side, Eric, but that's something that is no longer a conspiracy or something that you should really be laughed at, because it's so well cataloged. And the question is, what's the motivation? What's the overall agenda behind that?
I think it's basically
who's executing it? Is it humans in collaboration with these
absolutely
hybrids?
I mean, look at the Crowley Hubbard,
right.
I forgot that other chemist. I mean,
Jack Parsons.
It's all about it's all about incantations to bring in the spirit, perhaps revenge for God banishing them.
And then we've talked about egregore, right? This concept of a ritualistically summoned group think being that exists more in an etheric or even astral sense, beyond what we can dub the physical plane. And in that sense, this incantation leading to a kind of incarnation is in many ways sort of the vehicle by which you could surmise that so-called alien beings are actually traveling. Like that might be their roadway, in the way that we drive on the roads and things like this. Their currency is not, a physical, paper or whatever thing that they exchange, but more that it's in the realm of genetics or thoughts, stuff that's very subtle, but these are avenues by which they can infiltrate and
absolutely,
and indeed possess.
And I think their main priority is to possess, is to gain this flesh and body dimension. That's where they want to be. That's where they enjoy it the most. I think a lot of them are banned into this ethereal area, They can influence us. I think the whispering in the ear and stuff like that, and try to create thought patterns within humans to incantate them, which I see a lot, especially people who are paranoid or psychotics or substance abuse people. They are literally like, it's just like what's that movie? Where you're incantating the secret, right? Just that quantum mechanics. You push your idea and your intention. It's going to manifest.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, momentum.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting.
I think that's what's happening, and we're doing it. We're sacrificing children. They're taking over our whole blood. They've got our minds. I mean, we're violent creatures. We're disassociated. We're in doublethink. We don't think for ourselves. God is being banished, across the world. I think and now they have culled us, or they have sifted us from their wheat and chaff. And the ones that still believe in God don't believe in this, megalomaniac science. We are being identified, and as the Bible predicts, if you don't have the mark of the beast, you will be killed or put in a gulag,
exiled, rendered anathema.
Yeah,
right. And I think that because they've built the superhighway of cognitive and spiritual infiltration through the mass rituals, through the cultural formations and the ideologies and the symbology of evil in the world, it's acting as a kind of delta, or a sort of merging around.
Precisely.
Yeah, and so delta is a very apropos kind of thesaurus Thursday, because it's used as like the head of multiple rivers, right? Or multiple streams coming together. So in that sense, that's how they're cementing, as it were, their power within the physical plane, is by bringing a lot of different streams of perfidy and malfeasance and corruption and conflict of interest together into a kind of mass psychosis religion that masquerades as certainty and fact about the physical world.